Hello, welcome back once again to HCS Weekly. Damn, it feels good to say this, guys. I'm your host, ShyWay. We are finally back for the new year, 2019, and this is looking like a huge year for Halo. This event that they just announced today, if you guys aren't keeping up with what's going on Twitter, this is huge. This HCS Invitational. Talk about a holistic strategy to build a community and maintain like the competitive scene at the same time. There's so much going on in this event, guys. I'm going to start the show by breaking this down, and then we're going to go into our interviews for today. So Tony, throw up the webpage here. We're gonna read through some of this. There's some exciting things I want you guys to pay attention to. There's so much going on. Like just the Halo nerd in me is just way too excited. I got to figure out how to get myself at this event as quickly as possible. But right from the top, one of the big things I want you guys to pay attention to is that this line right here where it says so they have goals for this event. They want to also entertain fans in new ways by using the broadcast to showcase different formats, modes, and players/personalities in hopes of creating a more diverse and ultimately more fun and entertaining show while keeping the thrill of competition at the forefront. So this is more than just an invitational, but we'll start there. Let's go down to the 4v4 format, Tony. You can see on screen, you've got 6 teams. So only the top 6 teams from St. Louis actually make it into this event. You can see Tox Gaming, Denial, Team Reciprocity, Lux, Status Quo, GMS. These 6 teams are competing for $100,000 in a Halo 3 event, which is damn awesome to see, to go back to Halo 3 to have these massive events. I thought they were doing grassroots, but apparently we're going right into official HCS events here. So $100,000 prize pool, top 6 teams, they'll be competing in a double elimination bracket. And then we have stuff happening outside of the event before you get there. If you're a Halo player, no matter what your skill level is at, let's scroll down to the 2v2 throwdown section on the Microsoft stores here. This is exciting. So we've always had Microsoft Store 2v2 events, but it looks like they're stepping things up a little bit here, on top of the fact that if you compete at these events, you have an opportunity to make it to the actual tournament. They also have this really interesting team captain thing. If you look, you can see there's a West Coast, Central Division, Northeast, and Southeast, and each one of these regions in the U.S. are, I guess, run by a specific team captain. You got Straight Sick, you got Flame Sword, Snakebite, and Ola. And basically, it says in this line underneath here where you're going to get a video. If you go to the Microsoft Store to compete in these 2v2 events, you get the opportunity to watch an instructional video where one of the above pro players will teach them a bit about how to, or I guess a bit about competitive Halo 3 and how to improve their game, which is damn interesting because it's like they're building the profile of these competitive players. They're inviting new players into the game. They're getting people to play Halo 3 again, and they're keeping the competition going by having people competing, around in these Microsoft Store tournaments to get into the event as well. So that's so exciting. And there's more. I'm going to keep going, guys. I'm too excited. If you go down to It's Showtime, Tony, yeah, we'll keep going down. It's Showtime, the Big Team Battle Bonanza. What is this? I want to know what this is. I'm not the only one who wants to know what this is. Golden Boy has been tweeting about it too. Tony, throw up the Golden Boy tweet. Big Team Battle Bonanza. I want to go to South by Southwest just to captain a championship-winning BTB team. Who's with me? You guys got to join Golden Boy for the BTB team he's going to be putting together. This just sounds so exciting to see. That'll be on the main stage where you got content creators, fans in attendance. They can jump on the main stage and have some kind of crazy Halo 3 big team battle match. There's not all the details have been revealed on this, so we're still kind of waiting to see, but that is exciting. And then below that, we got Snipe Down versus Lethal, the classic rivalry right here. This is the matchup to watch. This is going to be happening at the event as well. We've got, it looks like they're going to be competing on Halo Combat Evolved 2v2. What is this? There's multiple games they might be competing in here. I'm still figuring it out, guys, but this is exciting to see. And then below that, we have the booth. So, of course, HCS Grassroots, an important part of this as well. And it looks like some of our streamers, our personalities are going to get the spotlight too. And I love that. This is building personalities. It's building streamers. You got Action Man, Ubernick, and Vetoed are going to have a set booth where they're going to be streaming Halo all day. You can hang out with them and they can continue to, produce their content and build the scene around that. So talk about a holistic approach to competitive Halo here. Tony, you can flip it back to me. Bring it back. There we go. What do you guys think? This is nice, dude. And then they have future events. We got Gamers Forgiven, got DreamHack coming up as well. And then there's talks that there might be even more events coming up after that. That's just so much to bring to Halo for 2019. I really think this builds the foundation, the framework for what we're looking forward to in the next title. So I think 2019 could be a huge year for Halo. So happy that we're kicking things off so strong. And of course, St. Louis was the way that we started everything. So today's interview is going to focus on St. Louis, is going to focus on the conversations that we're having right after this event and preparing ourselves for this invitational. So let's get into these interviews. Finally, I got two amazing guests to invite on the show. Now, the first guest, Royal1, is actually not here right now. This is not a live interview. I had to catch him last night because he's busy right now. So it's a pre-recorded interview, and I'll be wearing different clothes and everything. We're going to be chatting for about, it's going to be a nice long episode, guys. So just be prepared, get your popcorn, get your food ready, and come hang out, come have a good time. We're going to start things off with the coach of Talks Gaming. I'd like to welcome Royal1 to the show. All right, Royal1, welcome to the stream, man. So the first thing I want to do, I have a bit of a story, and I told you this already in person, but this is more for the viewers. And it was about the first time, I can't really say it's like the first time I met you. It was more like the first time I saw you, let's say, but it was in November in HCS Atlanta. I'm coming home, and I get on the plane, and I sit down on the airplane, and I'm like 99% sure you're there, like sitting right beside me. And I sit down and I'm like, I'm taking these like glances. I'm doing like these little like quick peeks to try to like identify if it's you. It's basically like if you're taking like a second take at like a cute girl or something, but you don't want to be obvious about it type thing. Anyway, so eventually I confirm this has to be Royal1. Like there's no way this isn't the guy. So then I get this big question in my mind where I'm like, do I do something about it? Like, do I say something? Like, do I introduce myself? And eventually I just decided not to do it. We sat the entire plane ride together and I didn't say anything. I pulled out my Surface. I was gaming like right beside you. Because I like the last thing I want, I thought like from my perspective is like if I started talking and in some way it was awkward or I became annoying, then you're stuck with me for the next like 2 hours. So I was like, shit, I guess I'm just not going to say anything. And then lo and behold, like I meet you at St. Louis and you turn out to be a super nice guy. And I'm like, damn, I have to have this guy on HCS Weekly. So man, thank you for coming on. What a weird way to kind of meet you though.
Yeah, it's crazy. When we were talking in the tournament, you told me that I was like mind blown because I totally remember sitting next to you. And again, like I think
Yeah.
I might have been in the same scenario at the time. I was like, man, that guy looks familiar. And then the thing that gave like you away as like being like a gamer, like being involved in that kind of stuff
Yeah.
was you were grinding on your Switch. Like you were playing some kind of like
Yeah.
it wasn't Smash, but it was like some kind of 2D fighting
Yeah.
style
Yeah.
game. And I was like, dude, this guy's a grinder. He's been like gaming on his or your Surface, sorry, not your
It
Switch.
was a Surface.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was just like, man, I bet you me and this guy could talk about games for like the whole flight. But that when you told me that at the tournament, I was like, one, I feel like a absolute I feel like a dick for not
Not at
like
all, dude.
realizing that it was you. But yeah, that's
Such a
isn't I
Canadian.
to me that's like crazy how like small of a world it is that we were literally sitting
Yeah.
next to each other.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, there were a lot of people from the event that were from Canada that were on that plane. Like Stress was on there as well. I got to talk to him before we
Yeah.
actually got on the plane. He was just like a few rows behind us,
Okay.
and a couple other people that I knew as well. But yeah, it was awesome. And that's the thing about me is like it doesn't matter like how confined the space is or if it's like a 45-minute flight. Like you will see me pull out a Surface Pro, get like a micro USB cable, and connect it and like try to play games in that tight space. And yeah, the game's
Oh
called
yeah.
Spelunky. It's this silly indie game that I
Oh,
love
yeah,
to
yeah,
play.
you were
But
telling me about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, getting down to brass taxes here. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning here, man. You got a hell of a career in Halo. So I want to know, how did you first get into Halo? How did it all begin? And this is
This
like
is
even
gonna go way
casually, like how
back.
did you? Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
way back.
So, I would say I first got into Halo, so this is around the Halo 1 days.
Mm,
I had a neighbor who lived across the street from me. I didn't have an Xbox or anything at the time. I don't even remember how old I was. I was in, like, elementary school or something like that.
right,
I had a neighbor across the street, and we were like kind of childhood friends, like best friends at the time. And I would always go hang out at his house because he was just 10 steps away. And
right.
we'd play games. So it started with we played stuff like Fusion Frenzy, like those kind of
Oh
games
my
that were
god.
like old school back
Yeah.
in the day. And then we ended up playing Halo 1 together. So we would play like the big thing for us is we would just play like Blood Gulch and like those kind of just like back then it was really fun, but looking back on it now, I was like, man, we were noobs. Like we would just play like rockets only and like snipers only
Yep.
and just like
Yep.
mess around. And the cool thing was is it was always like me and my brother would go hang out over there as kind of like a package deal because I kind of had to like look after my brother, and then he would just be like there. So we'd actually would play him 2v1 always because like he had the Xbox, he played Halo and all that. So
Right.
he was like the god. Like we would have to 2v1 like just to beat this guy like that lived across the
Wow.
street. And because we had no idea what we were doing, we were just like complete noobs playing Halo 1. And yeah, it turned to the point where you're like, man, like we would just go to this guy's house to play Halo 1 and like try to beat him because he's so much better than us. And almost like
Yeah.
started like a little competition between the three of us, I guess. So that's kind of how I first got into Halo. And then me and my brother, we both got our first Xbox kind of as a family, right when Halo 2 came out. So ever since then, we've been playing Halo. So in Halo 2, we kind of just we're really young, didn't really know what was going on.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of started like that was when I started following the whole MLG scene. When I was really young,
Okay.
I think I somehow stumbled across like a tournament one time on I think oh yeah, it was the USA Network back when they had their show on there.
Nice.
So I stumbled across that show, and then I was like, wow, this is super cool. And then I kind of got into like the forums and learned all about how MLG works and how all that stuff works through that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's kind of what got me into Halo. I'd say probably that time frame.
Yeah. Well, okay, so nothing beats like I love being like a noob and experiencing Halo for the first time is like when you don't
Hmm.
care about whether or not it's like MLG settings, it's just rockets and swords, or you're just playing campaign and you're like all stacking up on the Warthog, and there's like something so fun about just like driving
Yep.
around in the open world. So I feel you on the nostalgia trip for sure. So I guess you got your brother into it as well. And then what's the age gap there? Are you like how many years is there between you guys? You guys are really close.
So I've got yeah, I'm 4 years older than him. So I'm
Okay,
26 and he's 22 right now. So
nice.
yeah, we've had that 4 year gap. So yeah, when we were really young playing like when we were playing Halo 1 and Halo 2, he was like I don't know, like 9 or 10 years old, maybe younger than
Yeah,
that, something like that. So
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how long ago we started playing and the age we were at. But yeah.
I mean, well, it seemed like it really mattered in the end of the day because you guys came back around and ended up being amazing. And this is my next question: because how the heck are you guys so good? All right, this is because you're in Saskatchewan. That's what I remember you telling me? Saskatchewan. If you guys don't know
Yep.
where Saskatchewan is, because I know a lot of you viewers are in U.S., but Saskatchewan's up in Canada. It's that one on the map. It's that one like perfect trapezoid piece in the map, basically. Do we? Oh, you actually
Yep,
got a.
there it
There you
is.
go. There's the photo right there. Saskatchewan. I believe. What is it? Is it
Oh my
Regina,
God.
Saskatchewan that you're from?
Yeah, it's in Regina, Saskatchewan. So kind of right in that like southeast area. There's me. Oh my
We're
God.
making it sound like it's like a distant land and like some other
Yeah,
like
like we're
way
going
out
somewhere
somewhere.
really far away that like no one ever goes to. But
Yeah,
no, it's just some kind of little old place up in the central area of Canada where there's a lot of snow and it's always cold and there's
yeah.
not a lot to do.
So is that what it is? It's just because you guys, are you disconnected from the Halo scene? Because is there much of a local scene there at all? Like you're kind of off. Like a lot of people are in US. Sometimes they have Toronto events, but like like so is it just having nothing to do? How exactly did that grind work?
So I would say like the whole like having not a lot of things to do is kind of what helped us dedicate more time to it. Cause like in the winter
Yeah,
here, like you do two things. You like play hockey or you play hockey. Like that's about it.
you play hockey. Yeah.
So or you
Okay.
snowboard or ski or something like that. And we
Right.
never really did that growing up. Um
Yeah.
so we would just game during the winter and then it kind of just turned into gaming being an all the time thing. As for like a local scene, I would say it's pretty small. Like I think the amount of people in my city that play competitive Halo is, besides me and my brother, maybe like another 5 people tops.
Wow.
And
Holy.
I'd probably say about like 2 or 3 of them are actually like pretty solid players, and then the rest of them are just kind of like
Right.
more casual. And they're honestly just
Right.
like friends of mine that I were the ones who like got them into the game.
Right.
But
Right.
there actually
So
there was a local scene a little bit in Halo 3, and that's kind of what
okay.
got kind of the ball rolling for like me and my brother to start going to tournaments.
Mm,
I think it was like Halo 3. There was a league called like Pro Gaming League. I think it was just two
okay.
guys from like Canada that decided to run some local tournaments in like central Canada. So they came to my city, I think probably in like oh '08 or something like that, when like right when Halo
Okay.
3 first came out. And there was
Right.
like a local 4v4. They did like a 4v4, 2v2, and free for all tournament um in my city. And I think like they just if you won, you would get like a couple $100 kind of thing. Like it
Mm,
was a decent little cash payout if you had no idea what was going on. So that
right.
was like me and my brother's technical like first tournament. And that's kind of what like got us into it. I think like we got like third place in the 4v4, and we got
Nice.
like second or third place in the 2v2, and then I think we both made it to like the final, the free for all finals, and I don't remember how we did, but that was kind of the start of it. And then after that, these PGL guys actually kept having more tournaments. They had them kind of in some different cities, so we had to travel a little bit.
Mm,
But yeah, after that first tournament, we found a couple local players where we live. We kind of started like a local team, and we went to these tournaments and we just were like winning them all kind of thing. Like we won the
damn.
4v4. Me and my yeah, our team would always win the 4v4, and then me and my brother would win the 2v2 usually. So,
And
and that's
you
kind of what
decided to just
sparked
fly
the
out from that. Yeah.
yeah. So then what
Right.
that kind of snowballed into. So I guess for timeline wise, so this was by the time after this league kind of wrapped up, because it was only about a year where this thing took place, and then they kind of just like went under. There's just not enough
Right.
popularity.
Mm,
That was probably around 2009, 2010. At that time, I had stopped playing Halo to focus more on like education and school and stuff like that, because
right.
I was a senior in high school at the time. So I was kind of more concerned with, like school and getting ready for university and college, because that was kind of my plan. So I kind of
Mm,
stopped playing like really intensely and kind of just played more casually. Whereas my brother he just kept grinding and grinding, because
you kept going. Yeah.
11 he was like 11 or 12 years old, right? He had nothing to
Right.
worry about. So he just kept
Right.
grinding. And then I think game battles was what started it for him, because in Canada,
Okay.
like there was really nothing going on that required you to not travel, because at the time my parents were not really too supportive. They were kind of like, well, what's this whole gaming thing? It's a little sketchy. Like people are
Yeah.
paying you money, and like what is this like? They weren't too fond of it at the time.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just my brother grinding GBs and getting pretty high up on the game battles ladders. And then I think he did that for so long where he uh, kind of got picked up by like a top amateur team and went to his first tournament in, I think it was in 2010 in Halo 3, and I think he got top 20 or something like that his first event. And then
Wow.
ever since then, we had like full support from family kind of thing to keep going to tournaments.
Nice. And was that kind of like what got you to come back into coaching? Because then I checked the Halo wiki and I didn't see any like competition history. Did you ever like do, I guess, like competing beyond those local events? Or was it you just jumped right into coaching? It seems like you jumped into shoot to kill that then became CLG. So yeah.
Yeah, so for me, competing besides the local stuff, nothing too much. I think I went to like one tournament in Halo Reach and got like last round of AM, or the round like right before top 32 or something like that. That was about all I did for competing. I competed in that tournament to go mainly to go watch my brother.
Right.
Um, but yeah, other than that, no, I haven't really done much competing. Like I've always played the game and followed the game like religiously. And
Mm.
I'd like to say I've always had like a mind for the game, but like actual skill wise, I'd like to say I'm pretty average. I feel like I don't put enough time to do it, and I don't know. I don't
This is
think I
how
was
I
blessed
feel.
with
Yeah.
what's that?
I have a, like
Oh
a
yeah,
mind
like
for the game. Like
yeah,
I can
like
explain it, I understand it, but then like my fingers just don't. It's not happening the
yeah,
same way I'd like
exactly. Like when I try to play now, like when I search playlists in Halo 3, like my brain wants
yeah.
to do what I'm thinking, but like for some
Right.
reason, and my fingers just don't always do it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll chalk it up to maybe old age a little bit, but
Ah,
yeah,
come
no,
on.
that's no, but yeah, that was kind of it for
Yeah.
competing for me. But for jumping into coaching, it was kind of just like a natural fit for me, because like I said, like just the way I am, like I'm so kind of passionate about Halo and passionate about esports in general, where I've always followed the tournaments, I've followed kind of the streams, and honestly, like back when I used to play, I played a lot. Like I was just like a kid who played matchmaking all the time, right? So
Right.
familiar with the players and people's play styles and tendencies and how to play the game correctly. So kind of when the opportunity came about in H2A, the timing in my life was like it was good timing for me.
Okay.
And it seemed like a really good opportunity just to kind of get involved things and to be like a pretty good asset for uh, the team at the time. So it was a no-brainer for me. I just jumped right into it.
Yeah, and I mean, it turns out you were a great asset. So your debut event, you guys win the first event in H2A. It was Iron Games Columbus. Sorry, that's my
Yeah.
doggy in the background who makes some pretty
Oh.
yeah gross noises back there. Sorry, but yeah, so H2A, you win your first event, and then you're no stranger to winning. Though Evil Genius did kind of like they had their revenge. But when you came
Oh
into
yeah.
Halo 5, your first event in Halo 5 with Counterlogic Gaming, you won that as well. And then you won the first event in Halo 3. You have a tweet about this as well. Tony, throw the tweet up and we'll read that. So I told myself in 2019 I would start giving myself more credit for my accomplishments. I like that. I've won the first event that I've coached in every Halo title that I've ever been a part of. That makes me smile. So that's a hell of an accomplishment, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you
Thank
feel?
you.
How does it feel just
Uh
being in that position?
it felt really good actually. Like honestly, like winning this recent event in St. Louis was like I think this was one of the most like special tournament wins because I don't know how many tournament wins I've won, but
Yeah.
this one like really felt good to me. Just because like I thought about that, I'm like, man, I've kind of like been doing this long enough where I've been coaching in 3 different Halo titles now, which I mean, not a super long time, but it's a decent amount of time and effort I've been putting into it. So it's kind of cool to see
Right.
like, yeah, it wasn't just like a one game wonder. Like I was able to kind of transition
Yeah.
through multiple different games and be with a few different rosters, and it's kind of just cool to see like where like I've came from that first Iron Games tournament to now, and it was really cool getting a win in Halo 3, which was the game that I basically grew up on, right? So it's cool
Yeah.
to see that like all those hours that I spent in that game kind of come out to bring something in the future. Like even though it was 10 or 12 years later, the fact that
Yeah.
it still kind of worked out to manifest into something was pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like it would definitely be a special win because especially like with Halo 3, I feel like winning in Halo 3, you get so much respect for that. You know what I mean?
Oh
It's like
yeah,
Halo 5, like dominating Halo 5 is a huge accomplishment and it's very difficult, but you always get those kids, those naysayers who are like, it's not true Halo, it's not classic Halo, it's not
oh
Halo 3,
totally,
whatever it is. And then Tox comes back and they win in Halo 3 again. So it's like you've done the full circle. That's got to feel good for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that felt really good because yeah, the big thing like going into the tournament and yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like people are, oh,
Yeah.
these guys are just Halo 5 kids. Like,
Right. Right.
then there's all these lovely like Twitter debates going on about like who's a dynasty and this, and it's like those never end well. But it was
Yeah.
nice to kind of to like prove some naysayers wrong and kind of like show that yeah, we
Yeah.
can show up in Halo 3, which people always kind of tend to have um that recency bias or like that bias of who was kind of relevant during that time frame back in the day. But it
Right.
was nice to kind of
Right.
say like, hey, like we're here, like we're not going anywhere just because the game's changing.
Definitely. So, okay. So now here's the part in the interview where I'm going to try to figure out what makes talk so damn good. I'm gonna try to pry at you a little bit here.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about your role as coach of Talks Gaming and how does practice typically work? Do you guys follow like a set schedule? How does that all work out? Do like a day to
So
day
for
coaching?
practice, yeah, so for practice for us, actually PJ's the one who kind of like sets up all the scrims.
Okay.
Um, I'd say we don't have like a strict schedule that's like really far in advance, but basically the team's kind of like mindset of when we want to practice is every day that we can and every day that we can get a scrim. So basically,
Yeah.
like I think Halo 5 is probably the best time frame to like describe to you what our work ethic is like. Because
Sure.
that's when we really were going our hardest. Basically it was like if we could scrim every day, we would scrim every day. The problem for us is like sometimes we couldn't find a scrim for 7 days a week. So
Right.
that was like the only thing that was holding us back in Halo 5. Um, so yeah, so I'd say like our work ethic is really good in that sense. Like we would have scrims lined up almost every night. I'd say like minimum 4 or 5 nights a week when we were on Halo 5. And we would just kind of go through the one rotation of the game types kind of thing. And then we're the type of team where um, we do like our breakdowns after, like in between games, because that's like when it's most fresh in your head. So
Right,
that's when we kind of
right.
talk about what we need to do, what we need to focus on, what we need to do better. And then if there were like pressing issues that were like, hey, like we need to fix this or we're not going to win this tournament, then we would like
Mhm.
carry that over after the scrim and talk about it and kind of iron things out.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And then, yeah. So what I was going to say after is like, do you guys go back and watch your team's matches? So that I guess that's not like a regular thing that you're doing. Only if there's like a specific issue you're trying to iron out. Like, are you ever
Yeah.
watching these matches alone and trying to create like your own notes on things, or is this like it's always together? You're always having a
Most
discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say probably like 80% of it is together. That's kind of where you get the most value out of your practice is when everyone's doing everything together, because then you're on the same page, right? And that's like
Right.
the biggest part of Halo is being on the same page and being like that cohesive unit. I
Mhm.
would say like when it comes to like going back and looking at things individually, in Halo, it's more that's more for like things like opening strats and stuff like that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I would say that part, like going and looking at like VODs of other players, it's more to just like pick up tendencies and like figure out like starting strats and things like that. It's not really I would say the team discussion is way more valuable than that piece. So there's a
Mhm.
lot less time dedicated to that where I think it's just the nature of Halo, whereas like other games like I don't know, like CS or like League of Legends or something like that, where you get a lot more value out of like VOD reviews, but in Halo, it's
Right.
yeah, it's more for just like tendencies kind of thing.
Yeah. So, and then beyond that, like just the work ethic is just scrimming as often as possible, as many teams as possible. Why? What would happen like when you couldn't get a team exactly? Like, why is that? Are there teams like they didn't want to scrim you, or it's just not the right fit? Or
Yeah, I would say like Halo 5 is the best time to speak to this. I'd probably say like that
right?
first, second year of Halo 5, when more teams were active. It was a combination of people not being available. Sometimes sometimes I think sometimes people wouldn't want to scrim us, or they would kind of like
Mhm.
scrim other teams and kind of like bail on us sometimes. For the most part,
Sure.
everyone was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we had the mindset where like we're scrimming every day if possible. And yeah, like the only thing that would hold us back would be someone like rescheduling or like not showing up or something like that. But for the most part,
Yeah.
teams were good, but we were so focused on playing every day where if we missed one day, we would be like, oh man, like these guys are losers. Like why'd they bail on us kind of thing. And we'd like
Yeah.
internally blacklist them for like a day and then we'd get over it.
Wow. Yeah. And so is it mostly like internal team specific stuff where like you're talking about what your team needs to improve, or are you ever doing like your own kind of homework on the side where you're trying to like study other teams and say like, oh, this team does this a certain way or these players have these tendencies? Is that something that you spend a lot of time on, or I guess only in the
Mm,
circumstance that you need to, or
Yeah, it's more on like on an as needed basis for that kind of stuff. I would say like
right.
our team is more focused on like what we're doing as a whole. We
Right.
don't really like target a specific player. Like there are some rosters where we've kind of like gone back and been like, okay, I think we need to do this to beat them. Like we need to shut this player down. We need to play like a
Okay.
certain way against this kind of player. So we do go back
Mhm.
and do that. I would say the amount of teams that we've done it for is very small.
What about with
So it's not
Splice?
a
Did that change a
that
lot with
was
Splice
that
because they're so aggressive, right?
that was honestly probably one of the most like stressful, well, not stressful, but like difficult times to try to like solve a team out because like
Right.
we would figure out what we need to do, but then when we would go to do it, it just like wouldn't work. I don't know if it was just like the nature of Halo 5 where like we could make a good play and then all of a sudden they would fly back in our faces like a second later and then next thing then we're four dead out of nowhere and
Is that what it is? It's just Splice is just they're
Shotzzy is
flying
just
at you
world
so
scarring.
fast. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. Like playing those guys like when they were like peaking like in that third season of Halo 5, it was just like
Yeah.
you basically just have four people that are like they were just crazy. Like they were always in your face, like all over the map, always like a big thing in Halo is pressure and like you just
Yeah.
felt like you were always under pressure with those guys. Um so yeah, like you never really had a and like even if you get them four dead, like when you
Mhm.
get them 4 dead, you're probably in your own base kind of thing. So by the
Right.
time you get to like mid map in Halo 5, they're already flying at you and pushing you back into
Yeah.
your base. So it's just I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it was a combination of it was just the nature of Halo 5 and them just all being insane players. Like, I mean, look at that roster, like Shotzi,
Yeah.
Renegade, like I had the pleasure of team with Eco just now, and like I know how smart of a player he is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
B as well. Stellar is just like they were just like robots who just didn't miss, and they were all like they were all just a cohesive unit that knew how to work together really well, and it showed.
Did you like the competitive meta in Halo 5 and like how things kind of evolved and how, Splice became so fast and aggressive? Did you like where things were going, I guess, towards the end of it?
I liked. I think yeah. I guess if we're gonna go, so let's maybe go back to like the start and then get into the end. So like
Right.
I think the meta of Halo 5 at the beginning was kind of more towards like our kind of play style, which was good, which was more like kind of like a setup, get control, and then do your thing once you have that. And then kind
Right.
of like punish teams that make like stupid mistakes.
Right.
And then like as the game progressed, like people you just put so many hours into the game, right? So um you kind of don't get to capitalize as much for having that kind of a play style where by the
Mm,
time that third season kind of rolled around, it was honestly just like people understood that the game was really based on like movement and getting around the map in like a really fast and efficient way.
right.
And that's kind of what took over in that third season was just like constantly putting pressure to the point where the team that you're playing against like can't even think and can't even do what they want to do
Yeah. Yeah.
um, because you're just always flying at them and always in their face. So I
Right.
honestly, I think I liked the meta of Halo 5 probably that second season where we won Worlds in 2017 when we were under Optic.
Mhm.
I think that's when the
Right.
meta was probably my favorite because that's when we got away from all like the automatic weapons and like
Right. But you
like
still
the
had
fuel rod
the
cannon.
rifles. Yeah, the fuel
Yeah.
rod, some of the bad power weapons, and the rifles are still pretty
Yeah.
powerful. So you had some pretty exciting. I mean, I liked the old BR despite being like a little too powerful, but yeah.
Yeah, I did like the old rifles. I wish they would have kept them the same. They were a little overpowered, but they
Yeah.
completely like ruined those guns when they
They.
made that weapon tuning update.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, but I think the settings that we were playing on at the end of Halo 5 were good. Um
Mhm.
I just wish yeah, I don't know. I think the gameplay just got to the point where everyone like had almost like mastered the game because we'd been
Yeah.
playing it for so long that it completely changed the meta of the game where it was like everyone knows what they need to do in every scenario. It's just a matter of not letting
Right.
them do it kind of thing. So
Right. Yeah, who can suffocate the other team harder,
yeah,
basically.
exactly.
And yeah, I actually didn't even expect to get into the Halo 5 combo there, but yeah, that was kind of insightful as well. The next question I had here was with such top tier teams, like right now you got Snakebite, APG, Lethal, Eco. There's got to be some big egos in that roster. So as a coach, like how do you manage this? Do you ever try to put forward new strategies? Is your team receptive to that, or do you guys ever argue amongst each other, or have to resolve conflicts? Does that ever happen?
Yes. So for the current roster that we have right now, like the current roster and rosters I've had in the past, there's really no clash of egos. Um,
Mm.
like you look at the players, you've got PJ. PJ is just like a really solid leader. He's like the kind of guy
Yeah.
that he can be pretty intense sometimes, but if you know him, like
Mm.
he just wants to win, right? And that's
Right.
kind of the same mentality of all the players on the team. Like that's why we team with the people that we team with because we know they have the same mentalities. They want to win. They don't care what it
Right.
takes, what has to be done to win. They want to win no matter what.
Mhm.
So like this team right now that we just won this last Halo 3 tournament with, everyone's really open to feedback. Everyone wants to like learn. Everyone wants to do whatever they need to do to win. So it's there haven't really been any egos or like clashes between any players because everyone like respects each other as players. So
Yeah.
it's super easy to be on a team. Like I know on some like kind of lower seeded teams, it's not always the case where you might not really trust
Mhm.
what everyone on your team is saying. But this team, it's
Right.
like everyone is so good, everyone's so accomplished where you don't have to really worry about what everyone's saying. Everyone kind of they're on top of their own stuff. So yeah, there's never really any issues when it comes to like that. I'd say like our most whenever we do, if there's like an argument, it's more like a frustration, like, man, like, why aren't we doing this? Like, what can we do better, kind of thing. But
Right.
it's never like personal, or it's never targeted at someone. It's always constructive, and it's always like just with the sole purpose of getting better. So yeah, egos have never been a thing really with any team that I've been on.
I think that's actually got to be one of the biggest takeaways for teams is just that kind of mindset that you just portrayed to me
Yeah.
right there is just wanting to win and having that baseline respect for each other and just being open to criticism, open to comments, like just wanting to improve, doing whatever it takes, whatever role you have to
Exactly.
be, or kind of yeah. So I think that's really cool. They have that flexible mindset and they're 100% focused on that W. So really, really valuable information there. I think a lot of teams need to take that into consideration. I think you have a lot of conflicting egos, especially in Halo, when individual skill can be so important in certain scenarios. People
Hmm.
think it's like, oh, this is all on my shoulders, or So I think like definitely Talks has that. They seem to have that cohesion, and they go way back, right? Because like I'm pretty sure Snakebite and Royal too. How long these guys been teaming together? Like forever. And then Snakebite
Dude,
tweeted about APG wanting to team with him for like 11 years, like way back.
yeah.
They wanted to be on a team together. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there. Like, I think Matthew and PJ started teaming in Halo Reach. So
Mm.
that's what, like 9 years ago now, 2011 kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been a duo ever since. And I think there's some crazy stat that we always touch on every tournament, or every now and then we remind ourselves, where they were, I think, in the like their placings since they started teaming was like, I think they were outside the top two maybe like two times.
Wow.
Like once in Halo Reach and once in H2A. I think those are the only two
Jeez, dude.
times they placed outside the top two. And yeah, I think the lowest placing they had, like, as a teammates, was like fifth in an H2A event.
Wow.
So yeah, those two have a really long history together. And then just like the players that we've kind of been teaming with now, like APG and Eco, like we've been really close with those guys since, well, for as long as like I've been involved with things.
Right.
We kind of been like, we have our little Skype group and all that kind of stuff, where we all kind of hang out and chill. And yeah, so
Nice.
it's the chemistry has always been there. Like, we've always all been friends outside of the game, so it's easy to kind of to connect with these players again.
Yeah. Definitely shows in the gameplay. So let's get into it. Well, this is a scenario, the middle of the match here. You're on main
Okay.
stage, you're versus a top team. What's going through your mind? What would you say are like the biggest things you need to pay attention to as a coach? And what can you do from your position to try to give your team like an edge over the competition?
So for me, I focus a lot on kind of like bringing value in like really crucial moments in the game. So in Halo, I guess if we're going to talk about Halo 3, I guess it's relevant to Halo 5 as well. But in
Right.
Halo 3, it's more making sure like the team is aware and like thinking about what they want to do before something happens. So like, for
Mm,
instance, let's go with like a construct game, or a guardian game, where you're waiting for camo or OS. It's not just
sure.
kind of like calling a time and being like, yo, like, let's get down and do this. It's kind of, for me, like, my coaching style is, I like to like have like a flow of communication and like ask questions. So usually, like,
Mm,
when we're like kind of a minute before something's coming up, whether it's a weapon, or a camo or an OV or something like that, it's kind of just like asking questions like, how do we want to play to get this OS? Like, what are we going to do to get this camo? Like,
right.
where do we want to go before this happens? And kind of just like reminding people like, yo, this is coming up in 10 seconds. Like, we can't die right now. We're not getting it. It's more just
Right.
like throwing in reminders, and kind of um, starting like a conversation. Because like the play, like, for top teams, like if you're in the top two or three, players all know what they need to do. It's more
Right.
just like keeping them on the same page, and like reminding
Right.
them, and kind of saying like, hey, like, this is happening pretty soon. Like, let's start thinking about it, and let's start like coming up with a plan of what we're gonna do to get it, based on where, like, what's happening in the game right now. Whether like we're
Yeah.
four dead and getting spawn killed, or we just four down them and we have full control, kind of thing. So I think that's my main focus when we're on the main stage. And I'm really big on keeping the team like kind of calm. Like, I don't know if you ever hear and listen, and it's like, I don't really, for like power ups and stuff that's important, like weapons and all that, I kind of go like
Yeah.
almost like a robotic, like weird, like NASA voice, where I just go like, almost like Bob Ross style, where I'm like, okay, guys, let's start thinking about this. And it's like kind of fake almost, but it's
Yeah.
just like weirdly for me, it's calming. So I hope it's calming for the players. But yeah,
Yeah, I bet.
that's kind of my style and what I'm focused on. Cause yeah, like it's more just making sure that we're ready for things because we all know what to do when it happens. It's just kind of making sure like we're ready and we're on the same page.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to micromanage too much. It's more like you're identifying
No,
specific phases of gameplay in the match, right? So you're like, okay,
exactly.
camo period's coming up, just kind of reminding them, I guess, like a minute in advance, giving them that time to kind of get their minds wrapped around it and figure out what's the play going to be, how are we going to set up to prepare for this, rather than just like it's up in 30 seconds, you should go grab it type thing. I like that. I
Exactly.
think that's actually really cool. That kind of gives me a like a unique and a peek into the mind of a coach there is just kind of recognizing, okay,
Yeah.
it's this phase of the game, what does the team need to do to counteract this, and then just kind of giving them those like leading questions that nudge in the right direction, and then they know what to
Yeah.
do, right? You're not too
Yeah.
involved, but just involved enough. Yeah, that's really cool. um, I'm nerding out here. So in St. Louis, here's a St. Louis scenario: is you maintained a dominant performance throughout, but in grand finals, denial put your backs against a wall. What was it about denial, first of all, that allowed them to kind of break through and clutch out that first series? And then in situations like that, we're setting the bracket. Like, what kind of communication is happening amongst your team, and what do you do to like kick off that next series without showing signs of fatigue?
So that denial series in the grand finals, they were honestly just playing like the best Halo of their lives. Like they were just we were getting world starred in that first series. Like I think like since I've kind of been competing like in the same kind of ecosystem as like Straight Sick and Aries, like that was the
Mhm.
best. Like they played
Yeah.
insane, like out of their minds. Like I just remember on Narrows, I think it was like a Narrows flag or Narrows Slayer, like Straight Sick had snipe and he literally I don't think he missed a single bullet. Like you're either getting bodied or blamed like whenever you looked at him. So when that kind of
Yeah.
happens, you just almost have to sit back and be like, all right, this player is like he's on one right now and we can't really stop him unless we do something crazy. So you
Yeah.
almost have to like you almost have to sit back and take it for a little bit and hope that he just
Wow.
decides to miss a bullet. Because like
Uh-huh.
at that point we were just like it felt like there was nothing you could do. Like you could try to
Right.
do stuff on the map, but he just was shutting us down. And I think even in like was it an amplified or onslaught or something like that? Like Aries was playing really well. Their whole
Oh, yeah, I
team
think
was
it was
playing really
amplified.
well. Like
Yeah, even Shelly
yeah, like
showed up hardcore. Like, I had never heard of Shelly. Even like the world hasn't heard of Shelly. He's got like 200 followers on Twitter.
yeah,
You guys should go follow him, by the way. But he showed up. I saw some crazy plays
yeah.
from Shelly as well, and
That was
Karma.
his first tournament. I think is that was his
I
first
think that
tournament
was
in.
his first tournament. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and
I don't
I
know.
also heard
I
he's
might.
Canadian too, so
Well, what do
that's
you
my boy
know?
if he's Canadian.
All that talent.
But yeah, no, he played really well, and even like commonly was playing really well too. Like I
Yeah.
feel like he doesn't get
Yeah.
as much credit as he deserves on that
Right.
team. Those guys were all
Right.
four of them were just like they were on fire, honestly. Like that first series,
Yeah.
they were all on the same page. They were clicking, they were hitting shots, and there was not a whole lot we could do in some of those games. When we kind of got to that, I think it was the one game that we won that onslaught flag. We were kind of like, all right,
Mhm.
there's no snipers on this map. Like we can do something here. Like let's try to do it. And we ended up winning that. But yeah, the first series was rough. We were honestly just getting world starred. Like that's like all that's like what it was.
Mhm.
So that first series kind of wrapped up. Um, we're a really calm team, so we didn't really get too worked up about it. We kind of just like reset, and we kind of were like, we're almost joking a little bit. We're like, well, I think it was TJ was kind of saying, dude, these guys can't play this good for another like 7 games potentially.
They
So like
can't
we
hold
just
it. You
got
just
to
got to
like,
wait them out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like I've never like the Halo they were playing was incredible, and it's like if they could keep that
Yeah.
up, like if they were to keep that up for another series, like they deserve to win because they'd just be freaks of nature.
Right. Right.
So we went in that second series. We're like, we honestly like fundamentally weren't playing bad in that first series. We were just getting
Mhm.
destroyed like shot wise. So we kind of were just like, you know what, like we need to do a little bit different, like communication wise. I think we might have been a little hectic in that first series. Um, so we kind of just like told ourselves, yeah, let's be a little bit more calm. But honestly, we didn't change a whole lot like in our gameplay.
Mhm.
And the game types were also a little bit better for us in that second series. So we kind of just like reminded ourselves, we were like, hey guys, these are way better game types. Um, they're not going to be able to do that again, like unless there's some kind of freaks of nature. So we kind of just like lighten the mood a little bit, and
Yeah.
buckled up for another series, and it worked out for us. But yeah, I think for us it's just mood was good, our mentality is good. Like we don't get flustered when we lose, kind of thing.
Right.
It's happened to us multiple times in Halo 5
You've
where
been there before. Yeah.
we've been on both ends of resetting the bracket and getting the bracket reset on us. So we know what it's like, and we just kind of buckled up for another series.
Business as usual. I like it. You
Exactly.
guys seem to maintain a
That is the
yeah.
word.
Yeah, maintain a good mindset under pressure. Focus on the positive though. That's a good thing too. Like kind of okay, what's the next series? What are the game types? Are these more in our favor than the last series, right? So kind of seeing some of the opportunities that you can take advantage of. And you guys did that. You pulled through. I mean, like you said, it would be insane if they somehow that if Denial managed to continue the just the incredible run that they were on. But that's the thing about
Yeah.
Halo is like it's so hard to stay on the whole time and like not fatigue for such a long series as well. Those pit games went on for so long, especially in the one before that. Like just waiting them out, basically. It was
Yeah, those pit
like,
games were crazy.
yeah, yeah, and that'll make anybody kind of start to fall out of the focus or out of the hot seat. So you won the event, and what happens next? So we have the invitational coming up. You guys, are you going to take a break? Are you going to go right back into scrims? A lot of people, I'm sure, are wondering: is Royal 2 coming back to the roster? You guys have so much talent. How are you going to figure this out? What's happening next?
So what's next? Yeah, so we're going to Austin for the Invitational. Really looking forward to that tournament. I'd say like practice regimen will probably not change a whole lot. We haven't started playing and scrimming yet. Mainly, I don't think any other teams really are right now, from what I've seen. But I'd
Mhm.
imagine scrims will be starting up probably in the next like week or so. I'd say.
Right.
And it'll be same as before, trying to scrim every night possible. Um, Kind of seeing. I'm imagining that there's going to be a lot of roster changes that are going to take place probably from now until this next event.
Right.
Because like this Halo 3 tournament, like some rosters were kind of just thrown together, and
Mhm.
now a lot of players kind of have an idea of who's strong, who's maybe not as strong as they
Right.
thought. So
It's going to be very
I think a lot of
intense.
the
Yeah.
yeah, I would I'd be surprised if some of these rosters in the top six didn't like swap like a player or two kind of thing.
Mhm. True.
Um, so I'd imagine scrims will probably start like after that kind of wave sets by. So yeah, but it'll be business as usual for us. Practice regimen won't
Mhm.
change. And then for the second part of your question about Royal 2 coming back, I think that is like 99% certain that he'll be back for the next tournament.
Mhm.
So yeah, so you should expect to see him in some scrims, and maybe he'll be streaming a little bit more as well. So, but yeah, I think the word on the street from what I've been hearing since he's in the next room over is that
Uh-huh.
he should be back.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd want to come back if I was him, with you guys still winning and everything. And I won't pry you anymore. You're not sure who he's replacing, and I know you haven't quite revealed the information yet. But good to know that we could be seeing some Royal 2 later in the year. I'm sure he's going to be a great addition to the squad. And then just one more question before we close out here. For anyone who wants to become a coach, or any coaches who want to improve their craft, are there any like lessons that you've learned over the years, or any recommendations you have for them?
I would say the really big thing that is really important for coaches is you need to really get to know your team.
Mhm.
So I guess it's not always easy for newer coaches or coaches who are coming into a team with players they don't know, but try your best to
Right.
like understand the tendencies of your players, like what their attitudes are like, what how they operate mentally, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because in my coaching philosophy is the players know how to micromanage themselves. It's more just kind of knowing how to like guide them and like ask questions and set them up for success. So
Right.
some players react differently to others than when you do things like if you give them criticism, if you offer like some advice. Everyone's different. So the big piece is really get to know your players.
Mhm.
It'll help you kind of hone your coaching style because I personally think that no two coaches on any team are similar. Like if you're a
Right.
good coach, you should know like I should be able to go to another team, I don't know, some other random team, and my coaching style would probably have to change almost
Right.
completely to be a good coach
Interesting.
for that team. Because you have
Mhm.
to more mold yourself around the players than doing like your standard, like your times and all that kind of stuff. It's for me,
Right.
it's more about the players and getting, like I said, molding yourselves around them for knowing like how they operate. And then
Yeah.
once you've done that, then you'll kind of have their trust. You'll be able to kind of work yourself into the system, and then from there you just become more of a cohesive unit.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I completely agree. I think it's like knowing the game is one thing, but it's more than that as a coach. It's a people game. You got to understand
Yeah,
the people that you're coaching and their tendencies, like you said, and getting to really know your team. And you put it perfectly, mold yourself kind of around the team that you have. And I guess you're constantly adapting and changing. So great advice.
exactly.
And hopefully we get some more awesome coaches. We got some more events to look forward to in Halo 3, which is so exciting. So thank you, man. Honestly, so much for coming on this stream. It was great that I bumped into you on the airplane just to even kind of start things off, because that gave me the easy segue even to just like introducing myself to you, and I'm glad I did. Turns out you're a great guy. And where can we find you on social media? Do you stream ever? Is that a thing you're ever going to do?
Streaming's not too big of a thing for me. I don't really have the internet to pull it off, sadly.
Dude.
But you can find me on Twitter, Chris_Royal1. I'm not the most active person on there, just because I've got a pretty busy life behind the scenes. But yeah,
Nice.
I'm on Twitter. You'll probably find me in Twitch chats and stuff, scrims and stuff like that. And I'm always one to want to chat about the game. So whatever way anyone can reach out to me and talk about Halo, I'm the kind of person who's down to talk about it whenever with whoever. So I'm really glad you were able to reach out to me. It was a pleasure being here, and thank you for having me on. And yeah, like you were saying before, it's crazy that we were able to bump into each other on the plane like that. Because yeah, look,
Yeah.
we're doing a little call together, a little podcast together. So it's
Yeah, man.
crazy how things work.
Yeah. So thank you so much, man. So excited. So many big events to come up this year. I'm sure I'm going to be seeing a lot more of you. I got to keep with my own grind as well. But once again, man, thank you for coming on the stream.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, we're back. And just in case you guys didn't hear me beforehand, I'm wearing different clothes now. That's because that interview was pre-recorded from last night. So awesome interview. Great talking to Royal1. We are now live again, and we're not done with the show. I did take some time to snoop through the chat there, and I saw a lot of recognizable names. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you're giving. And Frosty, I saw you there too. Killing it at Call of Duty. Hopefully one day you can come back to Halo and enjoy Halo Infinite with us. And hopefully we'll see that happen. But anyway, in the meantime, we've transitioned back to Halo 3, and with the transition comes a lot of new talent. The spotlight's on a lot of new players, and one player in particular is right in the middle of the spotlight right now. I'd like to introduce Gabriel as the next guest on the stream. How's it going, man?
Yo, it's
Oh,
going
you're
well. What's
back
up,
from
ShyWay?
St. Good. It's good, man. You're back from St. Louis. Have you been relaxing, or are you like right back on the Halo 3 grind now?
Man, I started playing the day I got back, like that Monday. So yeah, the grind definitely didn't stop.
Yeah, and yeah, they changed the aim now too. They've got modern aim versus classic aim. Have you been messing around with that? What do you think of the new switch?
Uh, yeah, I did mess around with it for a little bit. First, I was modern, and then I was like, okay, this is too slow turn. I went to classic, but now I'm on modern, and I think that's what I'm gonna stick with, honestly.
Really? Yeah. People are saying there's like slow turn kind of issues with modern, so hopefully they tweak that. But on classic, you've got like these really fast diagonals that are super kind of like jarring at times. So it's
Hmm.
weird. It's hard to find a sweet spot, but hopefully they tweak it. I think it's good that they still have both, so at least you can switch back between the two, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Honestly, like on that, just putting that second dead zone to 0, I think will fix that slow turn. That's what happened with me, and I like it, but try it
Oh,
out.
damn.
And
You have strats. Okay. On top of the dead
yeah,
zone, what about like sensitivity settings? Is there like a sweet spot that you've had?
that's all preference. That's all preference
Preference?
from
Yeah.
there. I just know that's what made me make that switch to modern. Like before, I was like, all right, no, it's too slow. I changed that, and I like it.
Right. So you got to tweak the dead zones from classic. That's actually a good point. So you guys try messing around with the dead zone, see if that changes anything. But let's go all the way back to the beginning here, because I love doing this with my interviews. You've been playing, you've been grinding Halo for a long time, but recently with the switch to Halo 3, you're now back on the spotlight. But where did it all begin, man? How did you first get into Halo?
Man, I've been playing Halo since I was a little kid. Like back in Halo
Yeah.
1 on original Xbox with my brother. Like he's the one who got me into it. So it's honestly always been part of my life. I feel like since I've been playing video games.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, was there like, do you have like specific memories or stories or like kind of like what was your favorite like moment
My
back when? Like for me, it
favorite
was Halo
moment,
2.
my favorite moment was it was like my birthday. I got my Xbox 360. I finally like was able to play online, and I remember my first game online. Like it was just amazing. Like I was just hooked. Like after, and I remember just being so like amazed by the game, the graphics, and like it
Right.
was just super fun. Like I don't know. That's honestly my best memory from like those times. Like getting that Xbox for the first
Yeah.
time and playing online,
Yeah.
man. It was crazy.
Yeah, man, it's so good. I literally had to like pool money together and buy an Xbox just so I could play Halo 2 after like
For real.
experiencing like the whole lands and all of that. Yeah, it's just game like shaped our entire generation. But so you got into the game, you jumped into competing, and you've actually got a lot of experience with tournaments that actually dates back. This is from the Halo Wiki, so I don't know what's right and what's wrong here, but I'm just reading off the Wiki. It says it goes all the way back to 2009, and one of your main highlights was that you were the team captain of Elevate back in Halo 2 Anniversary. And then you tried your hand at Halo 5 for a bit. You competed in 2016 for a bit. And then after 2016, you kind of like disappeared. And so where did you go? What happened there? And then how come now that you come back, you're one of the best players in the world at Halo 3? Like, well, bridge the gap here.
Um, yeah. I mean, me disappearing. That was kind of like I tried Halo 5. I I didn't really like enjoy it. Like I felt like games after Reach, I kind of didn't enjoy as much.
Right.
So once Halo 5 came and we didn't make Pro League with I think my team at the time was like me, Cloud, Falcade, and Rami. It was the Denial team in the first relegations. I just kind of like didn't really put my effort into it. And then my final event that
Right.
game was like DreamHack Denver. And then I had like a lot of personal stuff going on leading up to it. So after that, I just kind of said I need to take a break from like competing, figure out some stuff in my personal life. And now that, you know, H3 is back, it's like the perfect time. I feel like right now I can really put my all into it.
So in that hiatus, did you like kind of go back to Halo 3? Like you're saying Halo 5 wasn't really your speed. So were you playing like grinding some MCC in the background, or did you just
I've
kind of
I've
like
always I've always played Halo 3. Like even before I remember it was a period after the AGL, was like after Halo 4 when the Xbox One was announced and with the
right?
MCC, right? So even then I already went back to Xbox 360, and that's actually where I met like my current teammates Fantasy and
Oh,
Zerka,
360.
just playing
Damn. Okay.
matchmaking. Yeah, just
Right.
like that. So like I was always like that was the game I always went back to like in that transition between Halos. So after MCC came out and Halo 3 was on there, I just did the same exact thing but on the one. So but yeah.
Right, right. Makes sense. So even, when like it was Xbox One was in the spotlight, just Halo 3 was always kind of that game on the back burner. You'd come back and grind it. And honestly, it looks like your decision paid off, man. Because how does it feel like knowing that the scene has gone back to Halo 3, like 343 is reviving Halo 3's competitive scene, and now you're one of the top 6 teams competing for $100,000 in Dallas. Like, congrats, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. It feels amazing just because like we played so much, and like I think the biggest part of it is just like getting competition. Like for a long time, we would just play like these online tournaments, and we would win them, but we always would want to like play a real tournament, like go to a LAN and see like what this team could do against like some of these players. So like I think it's very fun now that it's like the main game. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just excited.
Yeah, man. So H3 comes back and you guys kick things off with a bang. You win the 2v2 event against Roy and Flamesword in Atlanta with Fantasy as your teammate. You guys had incredible chemistry as a duo, by the way. How long have you been teaming? So you said this was back from 360. Was this like when you came back to 360 when Xbox One came out, then you guys discovered each other? How did that happen?
Yeah, just like that. 360 playing matchmaking, like playing against him. Obviously he's good. Like you could tell a good player, like just by playing against him.
Right.
And we've literally been playing every time I go back to Halo 3. That's the guys I play with. Yeah. So we've
Nice. So
had
it's like,
it's like at least since 2014. That's how long it's been.
wow. Wow. Kind of, do some soul searching, go back to the 360, meet somebody on matchmaking who's been grinding, and and it all works out, and then you become GMS. So that's the thing that I want to ask about this squad too. So you're on GMS
Okay.
now. You're with Goofy, Zerka, Fantasy. Tell me about GMS. You're called the Golden Modem Squad. What does this mean? Like, how did you guys decide on the team name? Where did this all come from?
The team name, I forgot how someone like suggested something, and then like we kind of twisted it, and then it just stuck. But like it just came from like those days where we play Halo 3, and there's always been like a little community of Halo 3 players. So they run online tournaments. At the time, they were like jaywalks, and we would just win them, and like it was just like poking fun at online, you know, like we're just good online, like. But that's all there was. Like there was no LAN tournaments, so that's where it came from.
So just kind of poking fun at the whole internet connection thing and being like, this is why we're winning. Our modems must be like freaking incredible. But and then when did Goofy come into the picture as well? Because you guys just recently grabbed him, I guess.
Yeah, Goofy came into the picture like this one tournament. Ripon couldn't play or something like that. This is like, I don't know how long. This is maybe like a year ago, something like that. Like the final Jaywalk tournament. And then when the 4v4 was announced, like the grassroots program and all that, we just played with Goofy. Like we kind of had a period where we were trying Ripon, but then Ripon had to actually go to school, and he wasn't playing for like 2 weeks. So we just stuck with Goofy, and here we are.
Kept on the grind. So UGC St. Louis kicks off. You guys are plowing your way through the bracket, and then on Saturday you make it to Reciprocity. And Fallout gives you this quick interview on stage. And apparently, from the interview, you said you never lost a series to Reciprocity in online qualifiers, and then you go on to win that series against them 3-2. So, any idea what it is with your matchup, like with Rec? Like, how do you just have their numbers? They're like something you can say to that?
I don't know if it's a specific thing. I mean, every time we play them, it's honestly like really close games. So we've probably just been edging them out, but we just play really aggressive, and I feel like as time goes on, maybe they'll get used to it. But it's been working so far, so we just haven't changed anything.
That's the thing. That's one thing I've noticed from your gameplay as well, and something I was talking about in the analyst desk is you guys are so aggressive. You're not afraid to get right in their faces. You've got a lot of confidence, and it seems like maybe Reciprocity, they haven't quite figured out how to deal with that yet. Might be it.
Might be.
A little bit.
There's also, they just kind of like, there's not that many teams either that are like, now there's people actually playing. So it's going to be interesting to see like how, I guess, teams adjust,
Right.
Like
right.
if they also get aggressive, like that's part of the reason why we really just kind of look at Tox, because that's like the one team that like felt like they're getting aggressive on us. That makes us feel like we got to scramble out of our base. Like we got to, I don't know, just hold them back, keep them off our side. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, let's actually talk about Tox for a second too. So you take your win from Reciprocity, and then you move on to Tox with confidence going into it, and then your series unfortunately ends in a 3-0. And each match was close, but you couldn't clutch out a win. So kind of walk me through the series a bit. Like Tox is the team that you want to beat more than any team, but what makes them such a difficult competitor? And how does your team I'll ask that question after. What makes them so difficult as a competitor, Tox, would you say?
You just gotta play really good Halo against them. That's all it is. Like they play very smart, very patient. They know when to get aggressive. That series, all the games were close. We did do mistakes. I know I personally did mistakes like on Narrows with Rockets being aggressive. So I think we learned from it. Like we just had to tone down our play, and I mean we're looking to like have a good run back at the Invitational, honestly.
Right.
But yeah, they're just experienced. That's it. You just have to not mess up against them.
Right. How does your team deal with situations like that? Because I know you guys came into that with a lot of energy. You really wanted to win, and then losing that series, and then in Sunday, I would say you kind of underperformed as to what we expected, right? Because you were killing it on the Saturday. So did you think it like kind of took a little steam out of you guys or something? Like how do you try to recover from those situations mid tournament?
Like for Sunday?
Yeah.
Or I mean Sunday, honestly, we literally just showed up. Like our match was called, and we weren't even at the venue yet, so we just choked on like preparation, honestly.
Oh my God!
As far as bouncing back, But as far as bouncing back, we've always been like a team that could pull out like crazy clutches. Like I don't know what it is. We're kind of calm, and we take our time, and we know the game very well. So it wasn't we didn't like take anything like from it. We weren't like not confident after that series. We just knew that we made mistakes. You know, that's all it is.
Right. Yeah. So what are the mistakes? How can you fix those mistakes next time and just play better Halo?
Exactly.
Right?
Like we talked about it, you know, watch the games, watch the stream. We all said like something that we could have changed. Like it's just working on it.
That sounds like the right mindset to have, honestly. So it's good to know that you guys have that communication and you just keep it going for the Invitational and hit it strong. There was one thing though that also popped up in the Fallout interview that I wanted to bring up is you strike me as someone who's very determined, and it feels like you're thinking beyond the win here. Like there's something deeper that you're trying to prove. In that quick interview with Fallout, you had also talked about casters throwing shade at you or not getting the respect that you guys deserve. Can you speak to this a little bit? What's this about?
The caster thing, that was like something new. That's kind of like something that stemmed from like the 2v2 and like onward. But as far as like this being bigger, like it is like this is like a game that like I grew up with that like got me into playing Halo. To me, this is real Halo. Like I love this game, and to do it with these guys that I've been playing with since 2014, like these guys are like brothers to me. So like to go to that tournament, beat Rec, qualify for this top 6 invitational, play for 100K with these guys that like I just met online, like it means the world, bro. Like it's crazy. Like this right here, like holding this with fantasy.
Yeah, man.
Bro, it was crazy. Like and I remember going into it like, because this goes way back, like in 2014, like when we would talk about like, man, we wish they would have a LAN tournament. It was honestly from like Twitch people. We would play like who knows, like Lethal, APG, Hysteria, Hines or something, like beat them in a Jaywalk tournament, and people would just be like, oh, you won't do it on LAN. And us, we're confident, so we're like, we want to have that tournament. So like, I remember when this was announced, the whole 5 weeks leading up to it, Fancy and I were just talking about it. Man, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. Like we can't wait to hold that trophy. We're gonna win. So like to actually do it, and I'll have this like chance to do it for all of 2019. It's bigger than just me. Like it's a whole team thing. Like I can't explain it.
Nah, man, I'm feeling it. You're gonna get me emotional, man. There's a story here, right? There's a ton of passion. This is a brotherhood. You guys are playing the game that you absolutely love, that you grew up with, and now it's coming back, and you have an opportunity. You're in the spotlight right now. And the cool thing about it is, you guys on Twitter, like I'm looking at your Twitter profiles, and none of you guys are, except I guess Goofy's got more recognition, but you guys are pretty new as far as being recognized in the Halo scene. And you're flying out to these events. You're competing for $100,000, and I'm seeing these tweets and like Zerka and Fantasy are like, they're just so honored to be a part of that journey, and it's got to be so exciting for you guys. So it's cool because like I want to have this show to bring some more fans on board with your story as GMS, and have some people supporting you on that journey.
Yeah,
man.
Nah, man, I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate you like taking the time to like reach out and just even give my story, because like I feel like some of these, I don't want to go back to the casters, but like all that stuff could just been avoided. They just like talk to us, like, yo, what are you guys about? Like their story was just so like twisted, but it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the details about it, but one thing I will say is you guys seem very determined. You seem very passionate, and honestly, it's showing in the gameplay. So you guys just keep up the wins, and nobody's gonna be able to say anything. You just keep showing the results, right? So that's all the grind. And by the way, are you guys sponsored yet, or what? Like, it's not like an official? Because are you going to be operating under a new, more official banner? Are you going to stick with GMS? Like, you're a top 6 team now. You're competing for $100,000. What's going on?
So we got approached by a couple orgs before St. Louis, but honestly, like I didn't really want to sign with any of them because I feel like they weren't offering what I believe my team is worth. Like we know what we can do, and we also know like what Halo 3 is gonna do. Like I remember at the 2v2, we're even talking to Fantasy and I were talking to some of these orgs, and they're like, well, we don't know what the season's gonna be like. There's no other tournaments announced, like blah blah blah. And we're like, guys, there's gonna be like 44 tournaments, like 3 for 3. They're not gonna do a whole year of like just nothing. And then what do you know? Like right after Grassroots comes out, 4v4, Invitational, like, and now it's like starting to pick up. And this is just the first event. Like in my head, this is gonna be probably the biggest year of Halo, like that they've had in forever. So like I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just like a lot of orgs just not having the vision, the long-term vision that we have. So I honestly just said we should just like go the talks route and just do our own team, just GMS, and then from there just see what we can do from it, because I think that's going to pay off way more in the long run. So that's why we're currently not sponsored. But if the right org comes, the right offer comes, then like, of course, I think we would take it. But as of now, we're sticking as GMS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back before St. Louis, maybe it was like a little more ambiguous as to whether or not there was like an opportunity to sponsor you. But now with this invitational coming up and the events they have planned, I think there's a pretty good chance you're going to get a lot more proposals from organizations coming in. So you might be able to change it or go the talks route. Either way, you guys, you're going to be getting some sponsorships. And so there's a lot of reason to follow Halo right now. So hopefully people can see that long-term vision that you were talking about. Yeah, man. So actually, Tony had also let me know that apparently people are asking a couple questions. Tony, I don't have a lot of questions here. So was this something that you were instructing viewers to do? Or, because I only see two, but I'll ask these questions. And this first one isn't really relevant to Gabriel, but I know Figgy, what's up, man? I know you've been asking the same question here. He's saying wired versus plug-in controllers. Do you know much about this, Gabriel? Do you mean like Figgy, do you mean like the regular Xbox One controller that you can just plug in with a USB cable versus like a controller that's like dedicated wired? What do you think? Wired versus plug-in controllers?
I mean, I would do wired because that's if you're gonna go to a tournament, then that's all you can play. You can't bring wireless. So like me, my controller right here, mine's wired. You know, it just sticks like that, no battery. That's how I play. But yeah, I used to play wireless. I mean, you can't. It just depends if you're gonna go to a tournament.
Yeah, and Figgy, I don't know if you knew this, but when you plug the cable into your controller, it no longer is a wireless controller. It's effectively a wired controller. It like shuts off the wireless receiver, and you get a true low latency wired connection. The only issue that you can run into is the issue that Spartan had, excuse me, where Spartan in the middle of the tournament his controller unplugged because these little plugs are so flimsy on the top of the Xbox One controller. But I mean, I guess if you get like a razor, it's like keyed in there. So we got I can never say this. SF Ice, is that how I say it? Sorry, dude. SF Ice asks favorite map game type, Gabriel.
Heretic Flag. That's probably my favorite. It's very I don't know. You have to like play very smart, and it gets very like chaotic at times, and you can do the insta explodes with the plasmas, and I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to me. That's one of my most favorite game types for sure.
No, I completely agree. That map has so much, like it's so tight, it's so intense all the time. The spawns are like you're right in each other's faces constantly. Even the way that the map's shaped, like everything's kind of sloped. And I know that not many people go for this, but you can kind of do that slope jump where you like slide and then jump.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
I actually like doing that.
Yeah, and that's something
crazy
you do all over
brought that up. Yeah, that whole map is just so fun to play on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the insta-splodes. Like, it's not even just, like, insta-sploding yourself. Doing it off other teams, like, other players' nades and stuff makes it so sick. Like, there's so many crazy interactions. So, completely agree with you there. We've got, from Kevin Cool to Gabriel, any knowledge on the pro team being built for 343? Know any one part of the team or in consideration? Do you know anything about this?
I mean, I know people are interested. I don't know like anything as far as like who they have in mind, but I know, obviously Clutch is running it. My boy Tusk wants to be a part of it. Nice. But from that, I don't know too much more about that, but they kind of keep that stuff like locked up, very tight.
Yeah. No big details just yet. We have Tiwi4, biggest online warrior right now. Who is it?
Oh man, biggest online warrior. I don't know. No one really gives me a problem. Like, I feel like I'm where I live and my internet is decent. Like, I play eights, right? And like, I live in Houston, Texas. So like, I play eights with like, all these people, and they're just like sometimes complaining about connection. And in my head, I'm just like, all right. I mean, this isn't even that bad for me, but I don't have one in mind right now.
All right, fair enough. Matty Rums, when can I buy some GMS merch?
That's coming soon. That's coming soon.
Yeah,
that's definitely coming soon. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're already talking to someone about that. So like, hopefully before the invitational, I'll put it like that.
So sick. All right. We've got
We got to get a team logo first, though. That's
yeah,
step
that
one.
too. An
Mhm.
official logo. Rima Gorpa. I'm sorry if I butchered the names, guys. UGC, ask Gabriel who he thinks is the best online Halo player of all time. Why specifically online? But sure, best online Halo player of all time.
That's easy. Auric. That has to be the
Who?
best like online player. Auric. You ever heard of him?
Auric? No.
Yeah. Oh
I
man,
should
he's
know
a
who he
legend.
is. He's
Yeah, I
only on
mean,
online?
this is back. Yeah, I mean, this is back then in Halo 3. He went to one tournament in Reach, but yeah, Auric is like a legend online
Yeah.
for sure.
Damn.
But that's
all right.
like a from back then answer.
Like an OG. Yeah. Some
Kind
great
of, yeah.
insight there. Yeah. Okay, we got Dark Minion. Are you looking forward to the new Halo, and what could make or break the game from a competitive standpoint? Good question.
I mean, make or break, it just depends who you ask. Me personally,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of like for Halo 5, for example, I was not a fan of like the abilities. Sprint, I could tolerate sprint kind of like since Reach, but if I had to pick, I would want a classic, something that that makes Halo Halo. Like these other games, we're kind of just. I feel like we're a different game with just Halo on the name, but
Yeah.
it just depends like who you ask, because I know there's people who do like that stuff and they would want like Infinite to be more like ability centered and like I don't know, but for me, if it's not classic, I'll probably stick to H3 or something. I don't know. It just
Really?
depends.
I mean,
Nah,
I'm hoping.
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
a try, of course.
Oh, for
but
sure.
I'm just saying, I hope it gives me that feeling that I get like with Halo 3. Like I get up and I want to play. Like it's not like, oh, we got to scrim, or I want to get on just to play by myself because the game is just fun. Like that's all I hope. That's all I can hope for.
Yeah, just straight up fun. And so if you had a preference, would you say like you would just do no abilities, slightly faster, or would you like keep like maybe a thrust or something? What would be like the sweet spot for you?
So for me, I'm gonna say no abilities at all. But the only reason, like, I like Halo 3 because you have to think. Like, it's very like, yeah, like I like how you break down some of these plays because a lot of people, they don't realize like just how much stuff goes on to Halo 3. Like it's all positioning. It's all like being in the right spot in the right moment. So like I feel like with abilities, it kind of makes it to where you could like do anything you want, and it takes away from like really thinking and being disciplined. So I have to go just like classic and just make it like a good shooter.
I definitely think there's a lot of thinking in Halo 5, but it's less like strategic thinking that you would have in Halo 3, right? In Halo 3, like you said, it's so important where you're positioned in accordance with your teammates and what type of play that you're making as a team. Whereas in Halo 5, you can kind of do anything. Like you can be so aggressive, you can escape from situations where you normally shouldn't be able to and whatnot. So you're thinking in those moments, but you're not thinking of the overall as much as you should be, right? So I think, Halo 3 really forces you to think strategy constantly. Which is interesting too from a viewership standpoint. So we also have another question here. Dog 8 RTS. Will Gabe compete in the 2v2 as well? So that's something I think coming up at the Invitational. Right?
Yeah, but the way it works, it's like it's only I think those 4 guys like that are gonna play in it, like Straight Sick, Flame. I forgot the other 2.
Wait. Oh really?
Yeah. Like the way it works. This is what I think. I'm not 100%. It's just from what I read. Like, whoever goes to these Microsoft Store tournaments, as long as they get past like a certain round, like they win one series or something, and they go to both of the tournaments on the certain dates, they're just gonna get flown out or have the chance to get flown out. It's like random, and then from there they're gonna get matched up with like one of those players, and they're gonna just play like a 2v2, like a mini 2v2 tournament. But if it's open. Fantasy and I definitely play. Like we're the defending champs, so like, that's if they let us. Of course we'd be down.
I actually think it'd be sick to see a 2v2 with everybody in attendance because you guys won, but like you didn't have to face some of the talk squad or some of the other top teams teaming in 2v2s. It was just kind of bringing down Flamesword. Yeah. So that would be awesome to see that in 2v2. Hopefully they get to do that as well. Last question. We've got Luke the King. Is Zerka better than Gabriel?
Is Zerka? Zerka's a god. I don't care. That's my teammate. I'll say yeah. That's my boy.
I respect it, dude. Awesome. That's the thing is like, everybody on your team is freaking godlike at the game. And it's like, one day one guy's hot and another day another guy is. So I'm sure all you guys are incredible. But just to close things out here, man, where can we find you on social media? How often do you live stream and plug your live stream, everything you want to plug?
I'm starting to stream like a lot more. So, I mean, you can catch me on Twitch. It's just Gabriel, like OG, just GABRIEL. My Twitter's at GAB_SVR. But yeah, that's my main like social medias. But yeah, catch me streaming. I'm trying to literally do every day till the tournament. Like when I get to that invitational in Austin, I'm trying to be ready. So you can definitely catch my stream tonight after this interview. I'm going live like right after. So
you know what? We'll probably drop a host right on you. So good thing you said that. Just go live and we'll figure out how to just send a host right over to your stream immediately. Tony, I don't know if you're with me. We can try to figure that out. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll figure it out right after we get off this. But man, thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, great discussion. And I'm so looking forward to everything coming up this year. You guys are really making a statement this year as one of the top 6 teams. And, the next step is just to defeat Talks this time. I'm sure you guys are going to be gunning for the win.
Yeah, we're definitely going for it. Like we definitely going for first.
Yeah, man. So thank you so much for joining me on today's episode.
Appreciate you, man. Take it easy.
All right, guys, and that closes our first episode of the year, kicking off 2019. Pretty damn strong, if I have to say so. So, Royal1 and Gabriel is a great way to start. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed these interviews today. Hopefully, that was insightful. Hopefully, you guys are excited for what's to come in this year of Halo. This is damn awesome. We got the Invitational. We got so many other events coming up. I know I'm excited. Hope to see you guys as we continue onward with these episodes. We got plenty more interviews we got to cover in between now and the event. It's going to get real hype. So stick around, guys. I'll see you next episode. Oh, okay. I got to plug the merch. I always forget this, Tony. You got to throw it in my ear a little earlier. Guys, support this stream by also picking up some of our merch here, HCS Weekly merch. Remember, everything that you buy here not only supports the stream, it supports me as well. So I really should probably be thinking about this a little bit more so that I can, get some support too. But guys, awesome merch. Big fan of the hoodie and the jacket there. Feel free to check that out at the link below. And that will officially close our episode for today. Thank you guys for coming by. See you next time.